Hey everyone, and welcome back. You ready for another deep dive?
Uh,
All right, so today we're tackling something that's uh, pretty spooky. It's got a lot of people talking. We're talking about all these drones over New Jersey. Have you heard about these?
yeah, definitely. It's all over the news and social media.
Yeah, it's everywhere. So basically, people have been seeing these swarms of drones, tons of them.
Yeah, like more than anyone can explain.
Right, and they're doing some pretty strange things.
Like flying in weird patterns and even coming up out of the ocean.
Which is super creepy when you think about it. Like, where are they coming from?
Right, exactly. And nobody seems to know for sure. Well, I mean, there's a lot of theories.
Oh, yeah, of course. The internet is going wild.
Yeah.
Everything from secret military stuff
Yeah.
to, like, I don't know, aliens, right?
I've seen that one pop up a few times. And who knows, maybe it's aliens. But I think we should probably stick to the facts, at least for now.
Absolutely. So we got a ton of research here. News reports, social media posts, the whole 9 yards. And today, we're going to dig into it all. We're going to try to figure out what's really going on. Are these drones just part of some top secret government operation? Or could it be something a little more unexplained?
Well, let's find out.
Okay, so let's start with what we actually know about these sightings. There have been multiple reports from witnesses in Ocean County. They're describing fixed-wing drones.
Oh, so not those little quadcopter things you see everywhere.
Right, these are much bigger, like 8 to 10 feet across.
Wow, that's pretty big.
Yeah, and they've got all these lights on them.
So definitely not your average hobby drones.
No, not at all. And that's just the beginning. These things have been spotted flying into residential areas, following Coast Guard boats. I mean, it's just strange behavior.
So these drones are being deliberately provocative?
Yeah.
Almost as if they want to be noticed.
It really seems that way. One News Nation reporter even claimed to see over 50 of these drones, like coming up out of the Atlantic. 50. He said he was stunned, terrified.
I can only imagine.
And he's not the only one who's freaked out. People are confused, scared, and honestly, I don't blame them. I mean, I'd be pretty creeped out if I saw a bunch of giant drones flying around my neighborhood.
Absolutely, especially if nobody could explain what they were doing there.
And that's the thing, right? The authorities haven't really given any clear answers, which is just adding fuel to the fire. People are starting to fill in the blanks with their own theories. And some of those theories are getting pretty wild.
Well, when there's a void of information, people tend to speculate.
Yeah, that's human nature, I guess. But the question is, are any of these theories actually plausible?
That's what we're here to figure out.
So let's dive into some of the more popular explanations. One of the leading theories is that these drones are part of a secret military operation.
Which, let's be honest, isn't entirely out of the realm of possibility.
True, the government does a lot of things behind closed doors. And there's some evidence that points in that direction, like this anonymous Reddit post we found. Apparently, it's from a veteran radar operator.
Okay, interesting.
And he claims that these drones are part of U.S. Space Force drills.
The Space Force. So this is getting pretty high-tech.
Yeah, and according to this post, they're practicing something called full lockout scenarios.
I've never heard of that.
Me neither, but it sounds pretty intense.
So what's a full lockout scenario?
Basically, it's where the military disables or overrides civilian communication systems, like radar, GPS, things like that.
Wow, so like a complete blackout.
Basically, yeah. I guess it's a way for them to test their capabilities in a simulated environment.
But wouldn't that cause a lot of disruption?
I'm sure it would. But maybe they think it's worth it for the sake of national security.
I suppose so.
It's definitely food for thought. And then you have the fact that there have been unannounced satellite launches happening since October, which coincides with these drone sightings.
Really? So even more mysterious activity in the skies?
Exactly. And some people are even saying that they saw a CNN crew filming something near one of the launches.
Ooh, that's juicy, like a real-life conspiracy thriller.
I know, right? And then you have President-elect Trump weighing in on the whole thing.
Of course he did.
He went on Truth Social and demanded transparency from the government. He even suggested that they should shoot down the drones if they can't explain what they're doing.
Well, he's never been one to shy away from a bold statement.
No, he's not. But it does show that this is something that people are taking seriously. Even high-profile figures are concerned.
Yeah, it's definitely not just a fringe conspiracy theory anymore.
It's becoming a mainstream concern.
And I think it's understandable why people are worried.
I mean, nobody likes the idea of the government doing things in secret, especially when it involves something like drones.
Especially something like drones, you're right.
It's just creepy, and it makes you wonder what else they might be doing.
Absolutely. And that's where things start to get really interesting because this story has attracted all sorts of theories. And some of them go way beyond just secret military drills.
Like what kind of theories?
Well, there's one that's been making the rounds for a while. It's called Project Bluebeam.
Project Bluebeam. I've heard of that, but I'm not sure I totally understand it.
Well, it's a bit of a doozy. It claims that governments are using advanced technology to fake an alien invasion or some other global catastrophe.
Wait, what?
Yeah, like they would use holograms, laser displays, weather manipulation to create a massive illusion.
Okay, that's just crazy.
I know, it sounds like something out of a science fiction movie.
But people actually believe this.
Some people do, and they've been talking about it for a long time.
But why would the government want to fake an alien invasion?
That's the thing, right? The theory is that they'd use this fake event to create mass panic and fear. And then they'd use that chaos to seize more power.
For like a power grab disguised as an alien invasion.
Exactly.
Wow, that's pretty dark.
It is, and it's definitely a fringe theory. But it's interesting to see how it keeps popping up every time there's something unexplained, like these drone sightings.
Well, I guess it makes sense in a way. When people are scared and don't have answers, they're more likely to believe in conspiracy theories.
That's true, especially when the government isn't being very transparent.
Yeah, the lack of official information is definitely a problem. It just feeds into the speculation and distrust.
Absolutely, and it makes it harder to separate fact from fiction.
So how do we even begin to unravel this mystery?
Well, I think the first step is to look at the official statements. What are the authorities saying about these drones?
Well, it's a bit of a mixed bag. On the one hand, they're trying to reassure the public. They're saying there's no threat to national security.
Which, if true, is good news, I guess.
Yeah, but on the other hand, they're being really vague about the details. They're not really explaining what these drones are or why they're behaving the way they are.
So a classic case of, we know something, but we're not telling you.
Exactly, and that just makes people more suspicious.
Of course, because it creates this void.
Hmm.
And that void gets filled with all sorts of speculation.
Right, so let's break down what they have said. The White House spokesperson, John Kirby, stated that there's no evidence of a national security or public safety threat.
Okay, so they're ruling out a hostile attack, at least for now.
Yeah, and he also insisted that there's no indication of foreign involvement.
So no rogue nations or extraterrestrials.
Not according to them.
Yeah.
And the Pentagon has also denied any involvement of a foreign mothership launching these drones.
Oh, right. I saw that one floating around online.
Yeah, it was a popular theory for a while. I guess people just couldn't wrap their heads around how so many drones could be operating at once.
Makes sense. It's a pretty dramatic image.
But if we're going by what the Pentagon says, we can rule out the mothership theory.
All right, so back to square one then.
Basically, yeah. We know it's not a hostile attack, and it's not aliens.
So what are we left with?
Well, the FBI has admitted that they don't have all the answers yet. They're investigating the sightings, trying to figure out where these drones are coming from and what their purpose is.
So even the FBI is in the dark.
Well, they're not saying that outright, but they are acknowledging the uncertainty, which is a refreshing change from the usual government secrecy.
Yeah, at least they're being somewhat honest about what they don't know.
That's true. But it still leaves us with a lot of unanswered questions. And in the meantime, social media is having a field day.
Oh, I can imagine. What are people saying?
It's a mix of everything. Some people are genuinely concerned. They're sharing information, trying to figure out what's going on.
Good. I like to see citizen investigators at work.
Yeah, but then you have others who are just throwing out the craziest theories, like secret government experiments, alien surveillance, all sorts of wild stuff.
Like the internet's version of a brainstorming session.
Right. And sometimes it's hard to tell what's serious and what's just people having fun.
Yeah, that's the challenge with social media. It can be a great source of information, but you have to be careful to filter out the noise.
Totally. But even with all the noise, there's something really fascinating about this whole story.
Oh, absolutely.
People are captivated by it. They're changing their routines, staying up late, all trying to catch a glimpse of these drones.
It's like a real-life mystery unfolding right before our eyes.
It is, and it makes you wonder, what is it about unexplained events like this that draws us in so much?
I think it's the thrill of the unknown, the possibility that there might be something more out there, something we don't understand yet.
And maybe even a little bit of fear.
Yeah, the fear of the unknown can be a powerful motivator.
It makes us want to find answers, to make sense of the world around us.
And sometimes those answers are more complex than we initially thought.
That's definitely the case here. So where do we go from here? We've got government agencies being secretive. social media buzzing with speculation, and people on the ground who are both curious and concerned.
It's a tangled web for sure.
It is. And it's hard to know what to believe. But I think that's what makes this whole thing so compelling. It forces us to think critically, to question what we're told, and to be open to the possibility that the truth might be stranger than fiction.
You got that right. It's a reminder that we're living in a world where the lines between reality and illusion are becoming increasingly blurred.
And that's a pretty scary thought when you really think about it.
Yeah, it is. But it's also a reminder that we need to be vigilant. We need to be aware of what's happening around us. And we need to be willing to ask tough questions.
Absolutely. Because if we don't, who will?
You said it.
So let's take a closer look at some of the evidence and see if we can't shed some light on this mystery.
Sounds good to me. Lead the way.
All right, so we've got this whole secret military angle going on, but then there's this other side of the story. It gets even weirder.
Yeah, you're talking about the conspiracy theories, right?
Exactly. Because whenever something like this happens, something unexplained and spooky, the conspiracy theories just come out of the woodwork.
It's like clockwork.
And this time is no different.
So which ones are the most popular?
Well, we have to talk about Project Bluebeam.
Oh, Project Bluebeam. That's a classic.
It is. But to be honest, every time I hear about it, I get a little confused. So can you break it down for me? And for anyone else who might not be totally familiar?
Sure. So basically, Project Bluebeam is this conspiracy theory that claims that governments are using advanced technology to stage a fake alien invasion.
Wait, what? Like a fake alien invasion?
Yeah, like a massive hoax. They would use holograms and laser displays, maybe even manipulate the weather to make it look like aliens are attacking Earth.
Okay, that sounds pretty far-fetched.
It is, but that's the core idea behind Project Bluebeam.
Why would they do that?
Well, the theory goes that they would create this mass panic, this global fear of an alien threat, and then they'd use that chaos to seize more power.
So it's like a power grab disguised as an alien invasion.
Exactly.
Wow, that's pretty messed up.
It is, and it's important to remember that there's no real evidence to support this theory. It's been debunked by experts time and time again.
But even so, it's still a popular theory.
Oh, yeah, it definitely has a following.
And I think it speaks to something deeper, like a distrust of authority. And maybe even a desire for something more exciting to happen.
That's true. Sometimes reality can be pretty boring.
Compared to a fake alien invasion, right?
Right. But in this case, I think we need to focus on the facts. What do we actually know about these drones?
Well, the official statements from the government have been, let's just say, less than illuminating.
Vague.
Vague is a good word for it.
So they're not really giving us any straight answers.
Not really. They're mostly just saying that there's no threat to national security.
Which I guess is good, but it doesn't really tell us anything about what these drones are doing.
Exactly. And that lack of transparency is just making people more suspicious.
Of course, because it leaves so much room for speculation.
So let's go through the official statements one by one and see what we can glean from them.
Right. Sounds good.
So the White House spokesperson, John Kirby, he said that there's no evidence of a national security or public safety threat.
Okay, so they're ruling out an attack.
Yeah, at least for now. He also insisted that there's no indication of foreign involvement.
So no other countries are behind this?
Not according to them. Then you have the Pentagon. They specifically denied any involvement of a foreign mothership.
Oh, right, the mothership theory.
Yeah, that one was popular for a while.
I guess it's a natural assumption when you see so many drones operating at once.
But the Pentagon says it's not true.
Okay, so we can cross that one off the list.
And finally, you have the FBI. They've admitted that they don't have all the answers yet. They're investigating the sightings, but they're not really saying much else.
So the FBI is being cautious.
Very cautious.
Which makes sense, I guess. They don't want to say anything that could jeopardize the investigation.
But it's frustrating for the public.
Absolutely, because people want answers.
And they want them now.
And in the meantime, social media is going wild with theories.
Oh, yeah, it's a free-for-all out there.
So what are people saying?
Everything you can imagine. Some people are sticking to the military explanation. They're talking about secret weapons tests and surveillance programs.
That's plausible.
Yeah, but then you have others who are going way off the deep end.
Like what?
Like aliens, government mind control experiments, even time travel.
Time travel, really?
Yeah, it's wild.
Guess people just let their imaginations run wild.
It's definitely entertaining, but it's also a bit overwhelming. It's hard to know what to believe.
That's the problem with the internet. It's a fire hose of information. And it's not always easy to separate fact from fiction.
You're telling me. But even with all the noise and speculation, there's something about this whole drone mystery that's really captivating.
I agree.
It's like a real-life puzzle that everyone's trying to solve.
And it's a puzzle with high stakes.
Because it's not just about drones. It's about trust, transparency, and the power of technology.
And the fear that comes with that power.
Exactly. It's a reminder that we're living in a world where things are changing rapidly.
Yeah.
And the old rules don't always apply.
And that can be scary.
But it can also be exciting.
True. Because it means that anything is possible.
Even alien invasions.
Well, maybe not that.
But you never know.
You got me there.
So we've talked about the military angle. We've explored Project Bluebeam.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we still don't have a definitive answer about what these New Jersey drones are really up to.
It's a true mystery.
It is. And it's one that's really captured the public's imagination.
People love a good mystery.
They do. And this one has all the ingredients. Unexplained sightings, government secrecy, and a healthy dose of paranoia.
It's the perfect recipe for a conspiracy theory.
Right. But even if we set aside the more out-there explanations, like Project Bluebeam, there's still a lot to unpack here.
Absolutely.
Because the official response from the government has been anything but clear.
They've been very tight-lipped about the whole thing.
Which, as we've discussed, just makes people more suspicious.
Of course. When you don't tell people what's going on, they tend to assume the worst.
So let's try to make some sense of this. Let's go back to the basics. What do we actually know? We know that there have been multiple sightings of large, fixed-wing drones operating in unusual ways.
Yeah, and not just unusual, downright creepy in some cases.
Right, like flying into residential areas.
Yeah.
Following Coast Guard boats. It's not exactly normal drone behavior.
No, it's not.
We also know that the government has denied any involvement in these sightings.
Well, at least they've denied certain things, like a foreign mothership launching the drones.
Right, which is good to know.
Yeah.
But they haven't really offered any alternative explanations.
So it's a lot of denials, but not a lot of answers.
Exactly, and that leaves us with a big question mark.
What are these drones doing?
That's the million-dollar question.
And unfortunately, we may never get a satisfactory answer.
But that doesn't mean we should stop asking questions.
Absolutely not.
It's important to be critical, to evaluate the evidence, and to not just accept things at face value.
Especially when it comes from the government.
Right.
Because as we've seen, they don't always tell the whole truth.
So let's keep digging. Let's see if we can't find some more clues.
And who knows, maybe we'll stumble upon something that sheds some light on this whole mystery.
That would be great.
It would.
But even if we don't, I think this whole experience has been valuable.
Why is that?
Because it's reminded us that the world is a strange and mysterious place.
It is.
And that there are still things out there
that
we don't understand.
And things that we may never understand.
That's true. But I think that's okay.
Wow.
Because it keeps things interesting.
I guess so.
It reminds us to be curious, to keep exploring.
Yeah.
And to never stop asking questions.
So that's a good message to end on.
It is.
Yeah.
So thank you all for joining us on this deep dive
Whoa!
into the mystery of the New Jersey drones. We may not have found all the answers, but hopefully we've given you something to think about.
And something to talk about.
Exactly. So until next time, stay curious.
And keep your eyes on the skies.